You are listening to Pocketful of Diamonds, Book 7 of the Nadia Wolf series, written by Nicolette Pierce. Copyright 2016. Audio copyright 2025 by Pierced Heart Publishing. Digitally narrated with full cast of voices.
Chapter 25. Gwen sat next to Ian, watching for any sign of movement. It had been nearly 4 days and he hadn't moved a muscle, not even when a man had dug out the bullets, not even when they were tossed in this makeshift prison she believed to be in Sierra Leone, and not even when she begged. With the meager amounts of water she was given, she made sure to drip as much as she could into Ian's mouth without choking him. Her father was locked in the cell with them and back to his old self. In the quiet room, they had spoken at length. Her dad wanted to be filled in on the last 10 years of his life, as well as hers. He couldn't seem to apologize enough. She finally forbade him to utter another word. This wasn't his fault. It was Divine's. Gwen felt a movement next to her. She looked down to find Ian's right hand twitching. Thinking he must be in pain, Gwen reached out to touch him. He propelled upright and grabbed her by the neck. "Ian!" she gasped. His glazed eyes slid into focus and he immediately let go, trying to back away but then falling flat when his legs betrayed him. He crumpled, groaning in pain. "Ian, hold still. You're going to rip your stitches." He stilled for a moment and gathered a breath.
Where are we?
"Sierra Leone, I think. Dad and I aren't too sure." Ian looked around, his gaze tripping on the door. He nodded.
We are.
"How do you know?"
This is where they held David and I before we were able to escape.
"How did you escape?"
They were about to transport us when David...
Ian cringed.
Let's just say David is better equipped to handle these situations.
"Well, he's not here now." Gwen took the tin cup that had an inch of water for Ian to drink. She brought it to his cracked lips. "Drink this, but carefully. It's all we will have until morning." Ian took a sip and then leaned back.
What happened at the island?
"Not much. They placed black bags over our heads, and then we arrived here."
No one else showed up at the island that you know of?
"No one." Ian frowned.
I hope I didn't make matters worse with those messages. I hate this war they've been fighting.
"Don't think too much about it. We have enough to worry about without adding their feud on top of it. Wars can't last forever. Someday there will be a person to step up and stop this insanity, but it won't be outsiders." Ian reached for her hand.
I hope you are right.
She leaned over and kissed his forehead. "Get some sleep. You still look tired."
I love you.
Before Gwen could respond, he was out, his heavy eyelids closed, sweeping black lashes on his cheek. He looked so tired. And why shouldn't he be? He carried everyone's burden on his shoulders, was shot twice, and was held by the rebels twice. Ian didn't belong in this world, and yet he stayed for those who needed him. She stood and paced the room. Now that he had woken, she felt better about the situation. Ian had a good chance of recovery, but he needed a real doctor and clean dressings. They had to get out of here, but she doubted he could walk. So, what happened now? Her only hope was that the Dark Lions would find them, but could they fight off the entire rebel army? There were too many variables, and they were stuck inside a dank cell with no windows. She was fairly certain one of their walls was an exterior one. She had heard noises coming from beyond it a couple of times, but no voices that she could call out to. Thankfully, no one stood guard over them. The door was secured enough that there was no way they could break out. Even Cacal didn't bother with them. Gwen had thought for sure he would, especially if he thought Ian had the rights to the land at the river's bend. Maybe he was double-checking to make sure Ian hadn't lied to him. If that was the case, they were running out of time. Gwen listened at the exterior wall, wondering what she was hearing. It wasn't voices, just a sort of grinding and grumbling that machines might make. Where were they? She would have tried to notice their location had they not been blinded while transported. "Dad, what is this sound?" He pressed his ear against the wall and listened. She wasn't sure if the wall was tin or perhaps aluminum, but it looked as though it might have been a repurposed roof.
I don't know. It sounds like a machine, but I'm not sure what kind.
But it is an exterior wall, right?
I think so.
Can we break through it? He tapped on the wall, listening for density.
No, but we could probably bend it.
Gwen perked. Really? Bruce kicked at the bottom of the wall.
It's sitting on top of the dirt. There's nothing holding it down except for a few 2x4s.
He skimmed his hand over the vertical row of nails.
See here? And here? If we could pop off a few nails and pry the metal up, then we might be able to slip through the bottom.
Gwen scanned the room. We don't have much to work with. Bruce did the same until he settled on the tin cup.
That could work for the nails. Bring it on over.
Gwen took the cup from Ian's side, frowning when she realized he hadn't finished the water.
Drink it, Gwen. There will be more later.
She downed the last sip and handed the cup to her dad. He patted her on the shoulder.
We'll get him out of here.
She nodded. Taking the handle of the cup, he wedged it under a nail and began to wiggle it free.
This might work. They nailed these in here by hand, and not by a steady hand either.
As he worked each nail free, Gwen stole glances at Ian. Even if they were able to break out of here, what would they do with Ian? She didn't think he'd be able to walk. He'd nearly passed out earlier after just a bit of struggle. When 6 nails had been worked free, Bruce bent down to see if he could move the metal. It bent slightly, but he couldn't get enough leverage with the cup. Gwen kneeled next to him and took the cup. Maybe if she was able to dig away some of the dirt, they could use their hands to pry the metal. That would give them plenty of space to crawl under. They'd have to pull Ian through, which would probably knock him out again from the intense pain. But, at this point, they really didn't have a choice. She worked, scraping the dirt away. Several times she had to stop and wipe the sweat from her brow. It was so damn hot in the small cell.
Let me do it for a little while.
I'm almost done. I think I can squeeze my fingers through. After a few minutes, she was able to fit her fingers under the wall. The metal groaned. She immediately let go, not wanting to draw attention. I'll dig a little bit farther. Then we can both lift at the same time. We'll need to have Ian next to us when we do. The sound will carry, and we won't have much time. Bruce stood and walked over to the prison door, inspecting it.
It's solid, but we might be able to wedge the cup handle under the door. It'd take longer for the guards to open.
Gwen looked over at him. If we get caught, we are as good as dead. Do you think we can make it? He frowned, and Gwen knew right away her plan was useless. She tossed down the cup and sat back. We'll find a different way.
I don't think there is another way. In the last few days, you filled me in on everything that has happened. I doubt we'll get another chance. And even if the rebels allowed us to walk free, do you really think they will extend that courtesy to Ian?
She looked at Ian. I wish he would have told me what happened here last time, but he seemed afraid to.
Some things are better left unsaid.
She nodded, but the question remained in her thoughts. It always would. He kneeled down next to her. Taking the cup in his hand, he began to dig. You don't think we'll make it out alive? Why do this? He stopped for a moment to look at her.
Would you be able to leave here without Ian?
No.
Then it's either this or none of us leaves.
But you don't have to. If there is a chance you could walk out of this alive.
Gwen, honey, I've been dead for the last 10 years. If I can help my little girl once, after all the problems I've caused, then I'm going to do it.
You didn't cause the problems. It was divine.
Everyone played a role, whether good or bad. It's no use dwelling on it.
She sighed and sat back against the wall. This might be the last time she ever spoke to her dad, and she couldn't seem to summon any words. They were tired and weary, half-starved and dehydrated. If they broke free, they wouldn't get far, especially if they were in the wilds of Sierra Leone.
I think I got it.
He said, wiggling his fingers under the wall.
Go get Ian, and I'll jam the door.
Gwen stood with her father and hugged him. We'll get through this. He patted her back.
Just keep moving. Don't stop, no matter what.
He stood back and cupped her face.
Promise me, whatever happens, you won't stop.
She promised, knowing it was one she couldn't keep. Stepping over to Ian, she jostled him awake. This time he awoke less agitated, but his lids did snap open.
What's wrong?
Nothing. We're going to break out, but I'm worried about your injury. He leaned forward, using his elbows to prop him up.
How are you breaking out?
She pointed over to the wall. We dug enough dirt out to pry up the wall. We'll have to crawl through and then pull you under. It's going to hurt.
It will hurt, and it will also slow you down. Go and take your dad. Get out and send word to the Dark Lions that I'm here.
No, you're coming with us or none of us is going.
Gwen, there's no way I can possibly walk. You have to go without me.
They'll kill you.
They were going to kill me no matter what.
Why? She demanded. What happened here last time? Ian frowned. Would he ever tell her? It had something to do with that knife, she said out loud. What happened when you and David escaped? Did you have to defend yourself? Ian closed his eyes. She thought he was shutting her out, but when he opened them again, he nodded.
David knew what he was doing. He knows how to navigate in this type of world. But I didn't. In fact, I did such a bad job of escaping. David was caught trying to help me. He would have been long gone had it not been for me dragging him down. One of the guards was about to shoot him.
Ian looked at her, as if willing her to understand what he didn't want to say. But both of you are alive, so you must have done something to help David. He looked down at his right hand, clenching and unclenching it as if testing it.
I did. I don't even know how it happened. It was bizarre, really. The guard was so focused on David that he didn't see me. The next thing I knew, I took the guard's knife from his side and dragged it across his throat. He stood there for a moment, not moving at all, and then he fell, nearly taking me down with him.
He looked into her eyes, searching.
I killed him as though it were nothing. The blade slid so fast and smooth. I swear I didn't even know.
He looked down at his hand.
How is it possible to kill someone with such efficiency? David was the trained one, not me. I can't even kill large bugs.
Gwen slipped her hand into his. But you saved your brother.
Yes, and I'm thankful for that. Believe me. It's just that I can't get it out of my head. I can still feel the drag along his throat. I'm not a killer, and yet I killed so easily, so quickly. Sometimes I fear it's changed me, that I crossed a line I can never return from.
She lifted her hand to smooth away the wrinkles from his brow. You defended your brother. We are hardwired to defend and protect. It's not like you pre-planned it or enjoyed it. Just give yourself time. She let her hand fall away. But now I understand why Kakal wasn't happy to see you.
It was his brother.
Oh, then we definitely need to get you out of here.
Gwen, I'll never make it.
You will make it. He tried to argue, but she pressed her fingers to his lips. Ian Miller, shut up. None of us is leaving unless we all go together. So you can either drag us all down with you or you can suck it up and get your ass out of bed. His eyes widened. When he finally nodded, she took her hand away. Good choice, she said, standing. She helped him swing his legs off the cot and sit up straight. "How do you feel?"
Lightheaded.
It wasn't the best-case scenario, but lightheaded was better than dead. "Dad, are you ready?"
The cup is in place.
"Okay, help me bring Ian to the wall." With both of them flanking Ian, they were able to maneuver him rather well considering the circumstances. Ian was even able to put a little bit of weight on his legs, which helped tremendously. After setting him on the floor, they reached under the metal wall. "Ready?" she asked. Bruce counted to 3 and they pulled hard. The metal buckled and flexed, giving them just enough room to crawl out. Bruce went first, better able to help pull Ian out. Once Ian was clear, Gwen followed. They were just coming to their feet when they heard the noise outside the door. Someone had definitely heard them. "Hurry," she whispered. Since none of them knew where they were or where they were going, they headed straight out into the night with no lights to direct them. Whatever the sound they had heard earlier could no longer be heard.
Wait!
Ian said after a moment.
I remember this. We have to turn around.
"Turn around?" Gwen panicked.
There is a quarry up ahead. We'll fall to our deaths.
Bruce and Gwen cursed at the same time and jostled Ian around until they were headed back to where they came from. A spotlight flooded an area next to them. They quickly moved over to avoid being detected. The light followed them until it finally caught up.
Stop and put your hands up.
When they didn't comply, a warning shot was fired. They abruptly came to a halt.
On your knees.
They all fell to their knees, Ian falling a little harder and wincing. Together they waited for their fate.